Welcome to the Fertility Mind podcast. I am your host, Jessica Friesen, a certified fertility mindset coach, a sound healer, and an international best-selling author. My mission for this podcast is to give you weekly episodes where you hear my own success with IVF and how mindset and manifestation changed it all for me. You will also hear from my guests who share their success stories in the fertility world. I want you to know that you are not alone. Even when things feel tough and when things feel like they aren't going your way, the tools and techniques you will get in this podcast, I know can change everything for you too. So thanks for being here with me today, and let's dive in. Hello and welcome back. Today I want to talk to you about your conscious and subconscious mind. What got me excited about this topic was over a year ago, I read a book by Dr. Joe Dispenza called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And he talks about our conscious mind is 5%, and the rest is our subconscious mind, auto-programming. We don't have to think about sleeping, we fall asleep. We don't have to think about breathing, we breathe. And so on and so on. So your subconscious mind is also intertwined into your beliefs, and it's also your thermostat. So your inner thermostat, we're going to talk about money for a second, but this applies to every part of your inner thermostat. If you made an income of say 50 to 100,000 a year, you know how to make that. So your thermostat is comfortable making that. And a thermostat, like I want you to think about the thermostat that you have at home. If you turn the heat to a certain temperature, if you open the front door and it got cold in your house, it automatically goes back to the temperature that you set. Or even when it stops blowing the hot air, when it starts to cool down again, the heat automatically turns back on. That is the same as your inner thermostat that is for you in every part of your life. If you identify with limiting beliefs, those limiting beliefs, even though you can start to, maybe you hear something motivational or you start to take actions towards a goal or a dream, that inner thermostat is going to bring you right back. So let's go back to the money for a sec. If you make between 50 and 100,000 a year, you hear this really cool sales pitch on TikTok and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to use that in my sales. Like, this is going to be great. You start to see really awesome, amazing sales. But then the next month or a couple months later, your sales decline, they decline. So still at the end of the year, you will make between your 50 and 100,000. You will make what you normally make. You can have some amazing months and then some bad months because your inner thermostat is programmed. Our mind likes to form repetition. Our memory goes in repetition. So this is why we do the art of, or the habit of breaking yourself. You want to understand your limiting beliefs so you can flip them. And this goes to every area of your life. So when you're talking about your thermostat, you want to change your thermostat. So if you, for example, for money, if you now want to earn up to 120,000, who does that person need to be? What does that person need to do? So going back to your conscious and subconscious mind, if you label yourself as something, that is your conscious mind, you are speaking it, you are feeling it, your subconscious mind is programmed to start looking for that in your environment. So if you start identifying with a label that the doctor has given you, say, example, you've got PCOS, or age is a factor, because in the fertility world, there's a certain age where you're now labeled as geriatric, even though you are not geriatric. There is, if you were labeled with a low AMH or not a great egg quality or a low sperm quality or whatever you could possibly be labeled with, you start sharing that information and you start telling people like, oh, well, we are on a fertility journey because XYZ. If you fall into the unknown category, that can also leave you with more frustrations because you're sharing, I'm on a fertility journey and this is going to be hard to get pregnant because we're starting at ground zero with no idea what is going on. Because on paper, it tells us that this should be working. So I want you to start thinking about the labels that you say. So when I say this, I want you to think like, say you say I'm anxious. You label yourself as anxious. Your subconscious mind is now going to start looking for things in your external environment to make you anxious. If you identify as possibly overweight and you start talking about how you're on a weight loss journey, or you need to follow this fertility diet to lose weight, as soon as sometimes you say the word diet, depending on how you feel about them, that's why people start calling things a lifestyle change. Because if you think of a diet, it automatically starts to feel lack because you are either you are suppressing the things that you want to eat, or sacrificing. Sorry, not suppressing. Sacrificing is the word. If you are used to having, say, coffee or a certain thing on a regular basis, but this diet or cleanse says no dairy, no, no coffee, no corn, no whatever, you are now in a sacrificial state. I'm sacrificing so that I can have this. That keeps you in a low vibration. Or you will notice you start to get cravings a couple days in to your cleanse or diet because your body, your subconscious mind is looking for your external environment to bring you back to that thermostat of your weight where you identify as overweight. I'm not sitting here telling you that you have to lose weight or that you have to follow a fertility diet. I am talking about your mindset and how incredibly powerful you are. So whatever you label yourself, if you're labeling yourself as infertile, if you're labeling yourself as I have PCOS, so this must mean it's going to be harder, or I've got a low AMH, which is your egg count, or if you start saying these things, I want you to think about how you're labeling yourself, because when you label yourself, your subconscious mind is now going to try and find those things in your external environment. If you're going to label yourself as something amazing. Label yourself as something that's in a far higher vibration. So Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about how we are vibrational beings and how everything exists on a frequency and a vibration. Bob Proctor talks about your inner thermostat and how when you change your limiting beliefs and you change your beliefs, you are now moving your thermostat to a different spot so that you can keep moving it to where you want to go, but you have to understand you. So when clients of mine or people email me and say, this seems overwhelming, I say to them, I get it, because I honestly at one point thought a lot of this was overwhelming. But if you flip the perspective to this for a second, if you ask yourself, if I have one life to live and I want to be living the best life and I want to create my family the way I want to create my family, am I willing to do what it takes? And am I going to identify with this as overwhelming? Because again, that's a label. Anything you say is overwhelming, you've labeled it, and your external environment, your subconscious is looking for that proof. So I want you to start to think, I am doing all the steps right now. You don't have to be perfect. As long as you're tipping the scales, you are doing something better. So I heard this saying the other day, and it lit my soul on fire. And I needed to share this on the podcast. So a woman said, she was talking with her friend and she had said, what's the worst that can happen? And she was always making decisions of, what's the worst that can happen? So if it seemed really bad, obviously you're not going to do it. And if it seems more attainable, you will do it. So her friend asked her, she said, what if you said, what's the best that can happen? It really got her thinking. So she shared that she woke up, she made a decision that every day when she woke up, she was going to ask herself, what is the best that can happen today? What is the best that can happen this week? What's the best that can happen this month? What's the best that can happen this year? So every day she woke up asking that question. And she said you would not believe how much her life changed in a year from just one statement every single morning. So I challenge you to challenge the universe because if we're vibrational beings, which we are, how can you raise your vibration? Wake up in an excited state, no matter how good or bad your sleep was. Challenge the universe to say, show me the best that can happen today. Show me the best that can happen today. Don't do it in like that, oh my God, just show me the best. Be curious. Be genuinely curious of show me the best that can happen today. You've not only increased your vibration, you have asked the universe for help in a curious way that you're not blocking anything. You're not saying it has to come this way. It needs to come now. You're saying, show me. So if you combine that with your gratitude, my God, you start your day in such a different place. You've completely tipped the scales. And if you think about, you just labeled something of show me the best that can happen. Think of like Jerry Maguire for a minute. Show me the money. You know how excited he got? I want you to do it that way. Like, show me the best that can happen. And the other thing that I want you to do is I want you to have an evidence journal beside your bed. So when you go to bed at night, quickly just write down what magic did I witness today? What magic did I witness? Because you're going to start writing down the synchronicities. So here's a synchronicity that I'm going to share with you that just happened yesterday. So the last little while, my little girl has been presenting dairy intolerances. Dairy's now starting to bug her. It's never bugged her before. And so I went to our local naturopathic store and I asked if they had anything for kids. They didn't have anything for kids, but she said, you can go to your family doctor, you can talk to a nutritionist and naturopath. And I thought, okay. So I went to go pick up my daughter from school that day. And lo and behold, behind me was my old nutritionist, who is the sweetest, most amazing person you will ever meet. I love her. She's a gem. And I heard her voice and I turned around and I was like, oh, it's you. I have a question. And she said, yes. And I asked her, and she dropped off samples to my door later that day. That is a synchronicity. I had a thought. I went to a place to see if there's something that I could do for my daughter, and boom, a nutritionist was behind me picking her daughter up at school, and samples were at my door. Things like that can happen in your fertility journey. Intuitive thoughts can come to you. There can be cancellations. So one of my study partners, she was sharing a synchronicity with me about how one of her friends that she hasn't connected with in a while, she had just called her and they were sharing, and she had just heard some not great news about her mom. And she's like, oh my gosh, like I have so many friends that are heart specialists, blah, blah, blah. And so she said, you know what, call the doctor back and ask if, it could be this, this, and this, because she was reading the report of what she had my study partner's mom had just heard. And lo and behold, the next day they got a call because her appointment was booked for all the way in January. And she was feeling anxious about it. And she thought, you know what? No, I'm not going to feel anxious. Something like, I know we never know what is coming to us, but she's like, I'm just going to hold space. Lo and behold, this coming Monday, she's getting in with the specialist and they have a whole new set of questions to ask so that maybe different tests can be run. So, it's a second opinion. But that was a synchronicity. A friend that she hasn't talked to in a long time called to say, hey, I just thought about checking in on you, seeing how you're doing. They had this chat, a whole new load of information came in, and then boom, there was a cancellation at the specialist's office. She's getting in on Monday. I want you to understand synchronicities like this happen all the time. We often chalk it up to, oh, that was amazing, or that was a coincidence. But when you label something or you choose to understand your your labels, what your conscious mind is saying and feeling, if you flip the perspective to something positive, even slightly more positive, your subconscious mind is now going to start finding evidence of this. So think about the things that you're saying. Are you saying you're anxious? Are you saying your fertility journey is hard? Are you saying that, you know what, your bank account doesn't support what you need it to do to further fertility treatments? What are you labeling, or what are you saying that your subconscious mind is now trying to find in your external environment? But the most important thing I want you to do and take away from all of this is, at night, I want you to write down your evidence journal. And I call it an evidence journal because you're going to start to see the synchronicities that happen more and more and more. I am reading a book all about money right now. I'm like in love with Amanda Francis. But she also talks about holding yourself at the highest integrity. Because when you hold yourself at the highest integrity, no matter what you go through, you will flip the scales. When you hold your thoughts and your mind at the highest integrity, you don't have time for the other stuff. I get it. That sounds almost callous. I mean it in the most genuine, loving way possible. Don't look at this as overwhelming. Look at this as something like, I get to choose my thoughts the way I choose my clothes. And if I didn't do it perfectly today, that's okay. I did something to tip the scales that the universe can start working with me so I can collapse time. The other thing that I also heard the other day that I thought was amazing that I wanted to share, there always has to be a time gap. Because when we think of manifesting, and when I first started thinking of listening to audio books on law of attraction, the common theme was thoughts become things. And I freaked myself out because I was on a fertility journey, and if thoughts became things, like I had some pretty negative thoughts. I thought, I don't want to attract this. I don't want to attract this. That's why there has to be a bit of a time gap. Because if there's not a time gap, if you thought, oh my gosh, what if an anvil falls in my head? Boom, anvil falls in your head. You can paint the picture, because we have negative thoughts. So that's why there has to be a time gap so things don't happen. It's the same on your fertility. You can't just say, boom, I think I'm pregnant. Well, there is a cycle. You do have a menstrual cycle. You have all of your different phases of ovulation and everything else that you have to go through. So there is a bit of a cycle. There is a bit of a time gap. You can close the time gap when you choose to think about your thoughts. You can choose to understand the way you're labeling yourself. You can choose to understand your beliefs. You can choose to understand all the different things that are going on around you. How is your relationship with money? And how is your relationship with money when it comes to paying for fertility treatments? How is your relationship with your partner? How is your relationship with yourself? There's a whole nother episode that's coming on self-love. But how are you labeling yourself? Are you always thinking about how hard your fertility journey is? Is that the main conversation that you have with friends and family? Is that the dominant feeling that you're feeling because that's what you're labeling yourself? And your subconscious mind is going into your environment and proving you how freaking hard your fertility journey is. I'm not saying that contrast doesn't exist. I'm not saying that grief doesn't exist. I understand these. Please, when I'm saying these things, I wish I had this much information even on my secondary journey. The more I learn and grow and expand, I can go back and I can identify things that I did that I didn't realize that I was doing. I can go back and see when I really started understanding mindset and manifestation. And I know and believe with my whole heart that I manifested my babies. I understood my beliefs. I was choosing to really dive into gratitude. I was choosing to focus on my end result. But the more I learn and the more I grow, obviously I want to share this with you. But I want you to understand that you hold so much power within you. You can read miracle stories. And I want to say, yes, I believe in miracles because I believe that what we believe to be true, if you don't believe in miracles, you'll never witness a miracle. If you believe that miracles will happen, you will witness miracles. It's a label that you've labeled that your subconscious mind is going to start looking for. So what can you do? This is what I want you to do today. Wake up in the morning challenge the universe with the most positive thing and say this every day. It's one thing, it's free, and it takes no time at all. It's seconds to say, show me the best that can happen today. Start to flip the scales, then go right into your gratitude list. 5 things that you're grateful for. What are you grateful for? And then start your day. If things seem to be going a bit awry, then ask yourself again in a higher vibration, in a curious way, in a way that you're open, almost surrendering to the universe, of saying, show me the best that can happen today. Think of like the Jerry Maguire, show me the money. Like, I'm serious. Like, I want you to like be that excited of show me the best that can happen today. And I really will promise you, you will see a massive change in your life because you are understanding. You are understanding something so different. You're choosing things different. You're showing up differently. You are choosing to change that inner thermostat to something different that you've never done before. Just really want you to understand how much power you hold within you and how much gratitude and being a vibrational being, which we are all vibrational beings, but understand where your vibration is. I want you to understand that there is a frequency for every single thing that you want, whether it's more money. If you want more money to pay for your fertility treatments with ease and flow, or to pay for a fertility coach, or to pay for counseling if you don't have, health benefits that cover that, to pay for anything that you think can help you on your fertility journey, where is your relationship with money right now? How do you label money? Do you label money that you have to work a 9 to 5 or a salary job, or you have to make so much money, or you have to have so much in your savings? I know this can be controversial. I know that this can be a bit like, I was never taught that way. That goes against everything that I was brought up to be. But the more and more and more I read about money from very big, wealthy people, like I have studied under someone who is worth like almost 35 million. I study under people, I read books. I love learning and growing. I love understanding how people really apply these different methods and see this in their life. And the common thing that every single person said, there's nothing special within me. I just choose to follow these rules, if you will, and I apply it to my life and I see where it takes me. So when you apply this to your fertility journey, what are you labeling yourself? What is your relationship with money? What is your relationship with your partner? And what is your relationship with your fertility journey? I know grief is hard. I can tell you that in 2019, when I had a miscarriage, I still think about that baby. I still think about, was this little boy, was this a little girl, what our life would have been like if I had that baby. And I send love. I send so much love because I carried that baby with absolute love and hope and want. After experiencing failed transfers after failed transfers, I have blessed and released those points because, yes, I do have my 3 beautiful babies and I am blessed beyond belief to have them. But I also know what the struggle is like. I cannot tell you what your struggle is like. I can't say that mine was easier, or that mine was harder. I don't play the comparison game. What I do play is that this information is life-changing and I want it in the hands of every single person that is on a fertility journey. I want you to know how much power you hold within you. And even if you aren't on a fertility journey, you can share this information with anyone else because this is what you need. So this brings me to the end of the episode where I want to share a lot of exciting things that are going on behind the scenes. So I have started, it's not launched yet, but I have started a second podcast called the Stepping Into You podcast. It is where I share a lot of the same information. It is all about mindset, manifestation, universal laws, all of those things. And I am working with a lot of amazing souls that can come on and share about how to step into you and how to start living your best life. I am trying to line up some really incredible people to be on that, but it's just not so fertility based. It is very much based on how to apply it to your everyday life. So that is coming your way, which I'm very excited about. And I have two things that are launching. I have a fertility journal and keepsake, and the gratitude journal is coming. I'm working on that right now. But the journal and keepsake, I designed it the way I would have wanted it on my fertility journeys, because when I bought my pregnancy journals and things like that, it didn't encompass my fertility journey. So a quick little 2-second synopsis of what this journal is. It's a journal and it's keepsake. It's a spot where you can hold a picture of where you guys started as a family. And at the very end, you get to have a place to put a picture of where you end as a family. And it's a place for you to journal, but it's a way for you to tell your story. It is a way for you to share your heart of what you persisted through and evidence of how far you've come on your fertility journey and how love and faith carried you through to the end. There is a spot to put your baby names, because I honestly believe that when you pass this on to your little one, if that's something you choose to do, they can see these are all names that you considered, but this is the name or names that you ultimately chose for your little ones. And there's a place for them to understand that they were so loved even before they existed, and that they were so hoped for, they were so wished for, they were so prayed for. And that this is your story of love, your story of how you became a family. And there's even a spot for your loved ones. There's a spot to put important dates if you want to write down if you had interlipids, or when you started, your medical protocol, or the day that you met your fertility doctor, where your fertility clinic is. Maybe you have a specific fertility nurse that you loved, or you have a fertility mindset coach. So there's a place to put specific dates and a place to put important people, that special people that helped you along the way to bring your family together. So I know that was more than a quick little blurb, but that is the journal that I've created that should be live on Amazon next week, which is something I'm very, very, very excited about. And I will put the links on it to next week's episode once it's all live and set up. But I wanted to share that because there's so many beautiful things behind the scenes that are going on. And I want to leave you with this little piece. Please, please, please get yourself an evidence journal. Go to the dollar store, do whatever. It doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be fancy. But I want you to start to put at the top, what is the magic I witnessed today? Start noticing the synchronicities. Wake up every single morning and say, universe, show me what is the best that can happen. Show me. I'm ready. I'm open. I'm excited. Go into 5 things that you're grateful for, even if it's that you have a bed or a roof over your head, something that you're truly grateful for. Maybe it's that you can pay for your fertility treatments with ease and flow, or that you've got a really supportive partner, or that the fact is that right now you are actually in your fertility clinic and you're not on a wait list or anything else like that. Whatever your heart can feel grateful for, start to do that today, because I will guarantee you will see the scales flip and you will start to notice synchronicities. You will start to notice a big change in your life and you will feel incredible. I am sending you so much love and so much gratitude. And thank you, thank you, thank you for being here with me today.
If you found this helpful or know anyone that needs to hear this, please share. And don't forget to leave a review and subscribe. In love and gratitude, Jessica.